Hey Fairy Fam, I'm the Afro Fairy Goddess. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sitting down speaking with you about being a spiritual worker in solitude and the loneliness that comes with it. Now, I know that there are many of us out there who are going to be starting their journey or have started their journey, and maybe this topic may relate to you. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on how my journey has been so far, some of my thoughts, a little bit of insight, and hopefully it helps one person out there. I did do a podcast a couple years ago, maybe last year, early up last year, about the same topic, the solitary spiritual worker. You can check out episode 35 of the Afro Fairy Goddess Podcast, and you can listen to that podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. So let's get to it. All right, so the solitary spiritual worker and the loneliness that comes with it. So, in my experience thus far, it has been a long journey, a lot longer than people realize. And going through the motions of who I am and where I want to be in my life has not been easy. I will tell you that. And the idea of working by myself, because for my African philosophy, it's all about community. It's all about connecting with those in your community to make the whole or the community space a lot more stronger, a lot more vibrant. You know what I mean? But you might find yourself in a position, especially when you're first starting out, like I did, questioning a lot of things, a lot of my beliefs. And I came from a very Christian background. My family is extremely Christian. My community that I was in at the time also extremely Christian as well. So when you started to question things and ask certain things, people were very resistant into what spirituality really was, more specifically African spirituality, and where that comes from and what that really means. And the conversations were very rigid, very arm's length. Just don't want to talk about it. Stick to what you know. This is what you've been given and swallow it kind of vibe. And this is by no means damning them or disrespecting them or whatever. That is just the way life is sometimes. And I found that I had to do a lot of soul searching with myself, especially when it came to friendships as well, because you're going to lose a lot of them for the most part, because you're changing. You're looking at the world differently. There is a switch in the back of your mind that goes on. You don't see the trees as just a tree. You don't see nature the same way. And you're looking at things and you're looking at how things relate to one another within our spiritual ecosystem. So when you start to see things differently, eat differently, maybe dress differently, but you're definitely thinking differently, conversations out of your mouth are going to be a lot different than how they were when you first started. So a lot of your friendships or your network is going to start to either a not want to be around you because, oh my god, she's talking about the planets and the sun and what does astrology really mean, and that's not real, and all these different things. Or in my case, it was demonic and all these different little things. And you have to know and search within yourself and trust yourself that you are doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing for you. Also, friendships that go aren't really friendships, in my experience at least. Friendships tend to be the ones that stay with you no matter what, even if there is an argument, disagreement, or something that people just don't get. They still respect you and your beliefs. They give you space to be who you are, and that would never change. So there's that as well. There's also the idea of friendships or connections that might fade away just because you just don't have the same morals and values as you guys once did before. So you might be changing and they might stay the same, and you might just drift apart. Nothing big, no horrible argument or disgruntled anything. It just disappears. You go your separate ways, and you have to be okay with that. It took me a long time to be okay saying, you know what, this is who I am and this is who I really want to be. And I feel as though the divine has sent me here to do work. And this is what I need to do. And when you come to terms with that and you're at peace with that, nothing should shake your foundation. I also want to remind you, as well as myself, that there is a reason why certain spiritual systems are secretive. And it's not because you're trying to create a cult, it's more so for protection within the community. So, for example, a lot of people right here on YouTube and other platforms might do divinations by cards, oracle, tarot, runes, what have you. And they give information to the community. It's called a collective reading. This is just in case the person watching this has no idea what I'm talking about. That's fine to a point. I have other thoughts on that, but I digress. There's also the idea of going one on one to get your own personal reading, a forecast of your life, if you will, your astrology signs. In Ifa, it may be going to sit on the mat and having Kori shells being thrown on your behalf to divine to find out what are your major causes or concerns right now in your life that you may need to look at inwardly to make yourself a better developed spiritual person. Now, you may want to leave your reading and go and tell your best friend or your partner or a parent or somebody in your family. And I was told, immediately after my reading, do not give away your ashe, basically your energy, your vibrancy, your messaging, because secrecy in this regard is more so about the sacredness of the connection with the divine, with your ancestors, and with the spaces that you build. There is something very, very sacred about that, and you shouldn't just toss it away. And whilst I understand there may be a loneliness that comes with that you are so excited about the good news, or you're even very scared about the bad news if there is any, or rather words of caution. You may want to talk to somebody about it. That's where godparents and mentors come into the space. But you might want to go and run and talk about it. Don't do that. It's a sacred thing that you're doing, and it must be given reverence. It must be given some form of peace towards it, some form of protection to protect yourself. You shouldn't just be giving that away. As I said before, it's something that you might feel bad about because you're walking alone. This may be your first time trying out this spirituality thing for the first time, and you're not sure of where to go. Trust your intuition. All of the elders in my community who are worth their salt have always told me to trust my intuition. And in fact, it's your Ori, it's your head, it's your higher self. You must trust your intuition. You have all that you need for your purpose. You have and have been given all that you could ever want or ever need in this walk known as your spiritual journey, and you must prepare and listen to your intuition where that is concerned, your conscious, whatever you want to call it, because that is what helps you stay on the right path. You know what to do. You know what bad intentions are. When that gut feeling in your stomach is like, I'm not sure if I should trust this person, that's a red flag, or at least an air of caution should be given. Maybe they're not a horrible person, but later on in life, as you take your steps, you talk to them, you give them all of your information, you showing them your altars, all these different things, you find yourself in a compromising situation. It did not happen to me, but from friends and experiences who are with me now can share some very unfortunate incidences. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that is so horrible and it's scary, and this is, you shouldn't this and you shouldn't that. But you should also be cautious in your way of life. I find that when you're by yourself, or when you're walking this path alone, we forget that it is not, as they say in the memes online, it is not a conference call. The messages, the connection, the networking is not with you, the divine, and your parents. It's not with you, the divine, and your partner or your best friend. It's you and the divine alone. And I do hope that even me saying this, affirming this, and reminding myself of this, that we consider this walk sacred, special, original, uncopyable. It's so perfect. And don't be scared to be alone. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And I do hope that those of you who are walking the path, whether you call yourself a bruja, a witch, in the Caribbean is Obi a woman. And let me tell you, for those who've never heard these terms before, because it could happen, it's just people who are connected with spirit, who are connected with light, those who watch the stars at night and forecast beautiful things, those who may be able to make the best herbal teas to soothe the spirit, to soothe the stomach aches, those who clean the home and revitalize space with prayers and energy to make the spaces and the homes and the hearts well. That is what it means to be spiritual. You just need to tap in to your own talent, to your own gifts, to uplift your community the best way that you can with what you have. I do hope that this conversation, as short as it has been, is enlightening for at least one person out there. If it has, do let me know if you are walking the path alone, if there are things that you are trying to overcome right now, and maybe some of the things that you're working on to make that path a little lighter. Maybe a conversation could happen in the comments and we can help one another in our own paths as we continue on down the road. If this has been enlightening, if it has helped you, if it has entertained you, do leave a like for me in the box below. It will let me know that you're interested in more content like this. And don't forget to subscribe as well. I have some other videos planned. You can check out my very first video on this channel as I take a walk along the beach trying to connect to the new year. I'm not going to tell you too much. You can enjoy that. And yeah, that's it for now. Oh, yes, do not forget to check out my podcast, the Afro Fairy Goddess Podcast. That episode 35 will go a little bit deeper into the solitary spiritual worker, as I am right now in this moment. So, yes, I am the Afro Fairy Goddess, reminding you to always believe in your magic.